Hi, this is Jim Jordan with the Citizens Legal Education with an update, November 30th, 2020. And today I want to talk about what does it mean to be a constitutionally compliant business. I got a little text from a friend with a little picture of a flyer that applied to a business in Medford, Oregon. There's an eatery that said they're a constitutionally compliant business. You can wear a mask if you want to. You don't have to if you don't. We're staying open despite the governor's executive orders. Come on in. Okay, so obviously in Oregon, like in many states, there's now some new executive orders being passed down by governors that said that COVID-19 spikes are happening in numbers, and therefore we have to shut down some businesses for a while, and these are the ones we should shut down. And no, we don't have any proof that those businesses are a threat to the public health, but we think they could be, potentially. Therefore, we have the authority to shut them down. So the question is, a constitution-compliant business is one that says, look, we're going to follow the Constitution and not the governor's orders. The Constitution trumps the governor's orders, and we see these executive orders to be a violation of our constitutional rights to property, in this case, to earn a living, which is necessary for one to sustain one's life. So basically, this is a threat to our life, the owner's and the business, the employee's life. If they can't earn a living, they can't take care of themselves, and therefore their life is at risk. So that makes sense. You can't just willy-nilly shut down people's businesses. And you do have a standard of proof to show that there is a just cause. There is a proof that these businesses are a threat to the public, and no proof has been offered. So therefore, the governors have no authority to shut down these businesses just based on their hunches or ideas or whatever their rationale is. It's insufficient. And I'm saying this despite the fact that the Supreme Court of Oregon has upheld the governor's claim that she has the authority to do it. So that doesn't change the fact that she doesn't. It's true, that's their opinion. And as I was taught in law school, the opinions of the courts, I was taught that was final. That's not really the case. I discovered years later that that's just an opinion. Okay, it ultimately comes down to enforcement. Are the sheriffs and police going to enforce that? Is law enforcement, is the different departments going to enforce that? And if they try to, then yes, then there's going to be a fight, obviously, about that. But at what point do we as citizens stand up and claim what is our right? So basically, do you have a natural right to your life? In a previous video I did recently, I went over this. It's very fundamental. Maybe people have not thought about this, but yes, you have a right to your life. The government can't deprive you of your life without due process of law. They can't deprive you of your property without due process of law. And there has been no due process of law here. So obviously the government has overstepped its authority. And the question is, what will we do about it? This eatery in Medford, Oregon is staying open. They're constitutionally compliant. That to me is in alignment with the law. Now, the governor is out of alignment with law, and law enforcement may or may not be out of alignment with law. We'll see, but it's up to us to decide. Me as a citizen, I'm going to support that business. I'm going to go to that restaurant this week. I'm encouraging other people. It's called Melange Eatery in Medford, Oregon. So any other businesses in your communities that are doing the same thing, they're constitutionally compliant, that is where to put your support. It's not going to do much good to argue law with people on this, because it has been argued and the Supreme Court of Oregon has ruled. So can the Supreme Courts rule incorrectly? Yes, they do. Is it the final say? No, it's not. As Anna said, I was taught that it was, but it's not actually the final say. Constitutionality of laws and executive orders is something that every level of government and citizenry decide on. Law enforcement doesn't have to enforce illegal laws. Mayors don't have to support illegal state laws. State governors don't have to enforce illegal federal laws. This happens all the time. Everything from medical cannabis laws in the states that are in violation of federal law to many other, there's sheriffs that refuse to enforce illegal federal laws or state laws. It's just the way it is in our system. And our system is basically, it's a bottom up. The people are the government. The government works for us. Sometimes the employees make mistakes. They don't understand the correct thing to do. They misinterpret things. They grab for power. We don't have to comply with that. That's the whole point. is that the people are the pinnacle of the government, not the governor. She's our servant, as is the legislature, as are the courts. Now, when they're correct, that's different. Then, obviously, if they're within their legitimate authority, that's fine. You have to follow that. So, who can decide that? Every individual decides. That's the point. So, I'm not saying you should believe what I believe. I'm saying that this is what I believe, and if enough people believe that those executive orders are unlawful and they don't comply, there will be a shift. The reason this is happening in Oregon and not in other states is that the people in general are supportive of these policies. Whereas in South Dakota or Wyoming or Arkansas or other states, they're not supportive, so the governors can't get away with too much. So it's up to us. Our willingness to allow our rights to be infringed will determine the degree to which our rights will be infringed. It's very simple, and it's, I hate to say it, but it's naive to think otherwise. So it's important for everybody to know what is the difference between a constitutionally compliant business and let's say, a statutorily compliant business or an executive order compliant business. Executive order compliant business is all the businesses that do what the executive orders say. That's one way to go. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. If you think that's the right thing to do, go ahead. If deep in your heart you know, and you're a business owner, that this is not the correct thing to do, that this is a violation of your natural rights, that your business is not a threat to the public health, and you cooperate with these executive orders, you're harming yourself. Your business obviously is going to be shut down eventually. I think it was about half of the businesses that were shut down in COVID-19 never reopened again. So to allow the government to illegally shut down your business when they don't have proof that your business is a threat to the public health is basically to abdicate your right to your life. Your livelihood is your life. So I'm encouraging people to think about this deeply, to reflect on what are your natural rights. Who are you in this system? Are you a subject of a king and a queen, or a monarch, or a dictator? Or are you a sovereign being that has authorized the government to do certain things on your behalf because you've decided it's in the overall best interest for them to execute laws and to pass laws? And are they operating within the scope of their authority? If they're not, then their laws and executive orders are not law at all. And if we don't comply with it, an end will be put to it. They cannot force you to do. If enough people do not comply, game over. The reason in Oregon and California and other states they're getting away with more is that people are in compliance more. Don't look to the courts. They may or may not help. If they do, that's great. If they don't, it's not. They have political pressures. They have their own views of things. They have their own interpretations, and that's not final. I'm a lawyer by training, and I was taught that that was final. I was wrong. That was incorrect education. They have a place in the system to handle specific cases, but they don't have the final say on the constitutionality of laws or executive orders or rules or regulations. It comes down to the citizenry to understand natural law, their rights, the legitimate scope of authority of government, and if they're operating outside the scope of that authority, it is our job to stand up and not comply until things get straightened out. So this is Jim Jordan with the Citizens Legal Education, encouraging all people who hear this to support constitutionally compliant businesses and to encourage those that they know that own businesses that are on the fence and realizing this is not correct, what's going on, to give them the support and the courage to stand up, to do the right thing, because our system of government, our liberties are at stake. The more we comply with illegal orders, the more illegal orders will come down, and the less freedom we have, whether it's freedom of religion, freedom of property rights, freedom of association, fair and transparent elections, whatever it is we comply with that's outside justice and reason is going to be accumulating on our backs, and there will be a time where the fight will be much harder than it is right now. So I encourage people to stand right now in the truth. So this is Jim Jordan with the Citizens Legal Education, wishing you a great day.